Hello friends, and welcome to this session of Rolls to Die For, where Magic the Gathering content creators go to ignite their sparks in Dungeons & Dragons. Last we left off, our adventurers are recovering from mysterious entities attacking them at the end of their first day on the ship. This led for them to fiddle with some strange pendant that Cookie had on him and disassembling it. Then they dispersed each of the corresponding colored gems to the person it reacted with. Bard battles, sparring, and a shopping spree included to help prepare themselves for an uprising our party is considering. Ray is visited by their past. Cookie received the wisdom of life. Evelyn received a mysterious note. And Aria learns of the factions on the vessel, while Galene persuades her way through earning a grappling hook. The lights went out as each of our adventurers are in their respective cell. However, in Cell B, the sound of distress awoke Aria and Galene. A fight broke out down the hall that Galene identified as Ingo's cell. After a brief amount of fighting, the cell door closes, and walking down the hall towards where they were sleeping, three figures approached. A Kinku, a dwarf, and a Yanti. Opening up Aria's cell at the end of the hall, right in front of Galene, they say, "This is nothing personal, but it's gotta be done. Don't resist." Now, unfortunately, during this session of Rolls to Die For, our audio had some issues in the video. So I will have to be doing a lost session this video. I'm going to give you all of the notes of what happened on this episode of Rolls to Die For, and we're just going to have to move on from there. I apologize for this inconvenience, but at least you guys still have cliff notes, and we already recorded our next episode, and we're just going to pick back up from where we left off. If there's ever any questions you guys have about the plot or kind of what happened, and the session notes weren't enough for you, please leave a comment down below, and I'll be glad to answer any of your questions. So last session, the session started off with Aria being raided by these three individuals. The short red-haired dwarf who used magic to hold Aria, the tall Kinku, who was trying to punch Aria to teach her a lesson, spurting out the phrase, "You'll have to take the fall for this one," and a Yanti snake folk with a human upper body who was also able to cast magic. Only Aria's cell opened, and they were ready to just charge right in. Galene supported this fight from the other side of her door of her closed cell. The fight ensued with Aria getting heavily injured, but also heavily injuring the three individuals that ran away with her mattress, which seemed to be their goal. A letter laid on the ground that said "too much magic," for Aria specifically. The players take note that Ingo was also raided before Aria. Shortly after, these three battered individuals show up to Cookie's cell and request no resistance. Cookie says, "I can't make any promises, lass." Scared for their life, they throw down the letter into his cell and turn to Evelyn's cell. They asked Evelyn for no resistance, and she did not resist. The doors opened, and they came in, took her mattresses, leaving a note as well. The door closes on Evelyn's cell. Cookie casts a little bit of magic to remind them on who they're dealing with. Still fearing him, they struggled their way to their respective cells for the end of the night. Cookie's note says, "Cookie and sneak," while Evelyn's just says "Cookie." Ray has a haunting dream of them being back in a deck of a ship during a rainstorm. Flashes of lightning revealed Emerald calling out to them and asking them if they need any help. When the flash of lightning hits, Emerald was closer with her mouth wide open, moaning in agony as an agonizing wail. One more flash of lightning has Emerald right in front of Ray's face, with a disjointed mouth and blood pouring from her eyes. With one more loud moan, Ray rustles awake, startled. Looking over, seeing Kinley, who is right next to Ray's cell, is standing yelling at a prisoner next to her cell. Kinley and Ray approach the edge of the cells and are trying to poke what appears to be a moaning, loud, semi-sleeping individual next to Kinley's cell. The party wakes up the next day to their jobs being announced. Gathering on the main floor, they see small gatherings of people who start early morning gossip. They see a group of 3 assailants from the night before talking to Barnabas, who seems to be displeased with them. Barnabas steps away from them and seems to be talking to nothing for a moment. The party witnesses the first glance of an officer figure right behind Farwin Torwarb. It is a black tabaxi, stands real tall, like a guard almost. He appears to have a huge scar down his face with an eye that has an eye patch placed over top of it. Donned with old military-style clothing Cookie was familiar with, he also spots the purple flower, known to be the symbol of the notorious pirate ship, the Temptation. Farwin Torwarb reports no issues of overnight to the prisoners. The party was not happy to hear no reports on that issue. Aria spots and magically resists Samuel trying to peer into her mind right before he slips away. Galene reports hearing a Kinku repeating the phrase, "You'll have to take the fall for this one," in the captain's voice that she heard right before she was brought onto the boat. The group concludes that the notes are from the people who are working with Barnabas as a punishment for stepping out of line of the status quo. Galene notices Farwin Torwarb reporting straight forward and not looking down at the prisoners. Galene performs to the prisoners, which some stop and listen. A couple guards end up standing close by and listen. Galene's guard acquaintance, the one with the scar down his face, takes his helmet off and acknowledges her before being reminded to join his duties by the other guards. Ray and Evelyn gain a point of exhaustion from days of work. Then Officer Tabaxi, from the morning, walks into the steam room where Cookie and Evelyn are working and confronts the guard with a scar on his face. They proceed to push the guard around until bending over the guardrail and cleaving them in the back of their head with a sword. Galene has noticed that both Val and Ureng have served both days of lunch. At the centralized table, Galene and Aria perform a song of slander to diss the crew that stole their party members' mattresses the night prior. With a high performance and clever verse from Anna Margaret, she earned herself a die of inspiration for Galene. Cookie reveals that he was part of the Temptation to the group and notices the Tabaxi wearing that same insignia. Galene remembers some story from her past that ties into this pirate vessel. Cookie also explains that the Tabaxi brutally attacked the guard with the scar on his eye that had been so close to the group twice. Emerald tells Ray that she can't tell them anything else about their past due to risking their plans with this group. Grayson released the promised device to the party after some tests to see if it's legit. The device is the grappling hook. Cookie tries to intimidate Barnabas, but he informs everyone that the orders that he is getting to do this are from a higher force. He claims to have no control over these actions and that he's just a messenger. He says with this group is called the Golden Seal, a group of people who work with the guards to get what they want. Ray displays her skill with a knife in front of Grayson, then has Arndimidor inspect it, but reveals that it's just a normal knife. As Galene is leaving Grayson's shop, there is an invisible figure that stops her. "I know what you are," whispering to her. She mentions to Ray that they were going to keep this conversation to themselves. Val tells Aria not to worry about the box that she broke during her invasion the night prior. Cookie is interested and pursues Ureng about his pull and what is going on this boat. He informs the group that he has the oddballs and the strength of the boat. Galene steps forward and accepts the pendant of the unknown, which is the group of Ureng. Aria reveals to the group that she has a pen from Val as well, the Radagats riots. And a new letter was found on Evelyn's bed. So Evelyn, at the very end of the session, sneaks off from the group to go to the coal yard. When she goes into the coal yard, she gets confronted by a figure who pulls her to the side, screaming, "What do you mean? Why would you let that happen?" And that is where we end that episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you guys coming through and enjoying the series still. I know all of my PCs are loving it so far. Please consider leaving a comment and subscribing to the channel for more good old D&D goodness. I would like to take a moment to also shout out Ultimate Guard. I use their products. I really appreciate all of the support they have to allow me to do this content that I do. and I look forward to using their sleeves every time I go to a draft. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next episode of Rolls to Die For.